Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Susan McGuire, Manager of Professional Development at ACCE, and I'm very happy to welcome you to this webinar on the Certified Chamber Executive, or CCE program. This afternoon, Bob Quick, Chair of the CCE Commission, and Linda Rabe, Chair-Elect of the Commission, will be talking about the CCE program and the requirements and walking you through the CCE application process. Before we begin, I do have a few housekeeping notes. First, attendees are in listen-only mode during the webinar to avoid background noise. And second, we will have a few minutes for questions at the end of the webinar. If you have questions, you can ask them by using the question function of the webinar. The question box is on the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Just type in your question, and I will read the question to Bob and Linda. If we run out of time and don't get to your question, we will contact you promptly after the webinar. And if you have a question that you would prefer to discuss with us individually, or you think of something later, please feel free to contact one of us directly. My contact information is on the last slide, and I'd be more than happy to talk with you, and I'm sure Bob and Linda would be as well. Third, this webinar is being recorded, and it should be up on the ACCE website on the ACC University webpage by Monday the 31st. I will post the presentation slides along with the recording, and in addition, I'll be emailing each of you the presentation slides and a link to the recording and an intent to apply form if you would like to use that. So you'll have all the details that are discussed today in that email, and again, look for that on Monday. So with that, I would like to introduce, hold on one sec, it looks like we have a recording error. All right. With that, I would like to introduce our speakers today. Bob Quick is President and CEO of Commerce Lexington in Lexington, Kentucky, and Chair of the CCE Commission. Bob is a 28-year Chamber veteran and earned his CCE 17 years ago. He loves horses, bourbon, Kentucky basketball, and ACCE, not necessarily in that order. Linda Rabe is President and CEO of the Rapid City Chamber of Commerce. As such, she has the privilege of being the Chamber President in the beautiful Black Hills of South Dakota, known as the gateway to the mountain sculptures of Mount Rushmore and Crazy Horse. So with that, Bob, I think you are on first, so go ahead.
Thank you, Susan, and I'm looking forward to working with Linda on this as well. I want to thank all of you for taking time to learn more about earning your CCE. For those of you participating in the call, I know some of you have decided already that you're going to pursue earning your CCE, and you're looking forward to this overview today to learn more about the process. And I know others of you are at varying degrees of whether you've decided that now's the time or not. I would just highly suggest, because I went through that decision-making process years ago, there's no time like today, and unless you've started a new job or have some big, huge initiative, now's a good time to pursue your CCE, and for a lot of reasons that we're going to get into as we go forward. But regardless of what your degree of decision here is or what decision you made, this will be a really good, sound cross-section overview of the CCE itself. And like Susan said, if at any time you have any questions for any of us, please feel free to give us a call. We're always available. And we'll also give you the names of other commission members that you may know that I also want you to feel free to give them a call as well. So welcome, and let's just jump right into it. So the webinar today is going to cover the what, why, who, when, and how. The purpose of the CCE process, kind of at that higher level, the designation represents the highest achievement in chamber management in the profession. And so it will touch on the mastery of the chamber profession's body of knowledge. And if you're not familiar with that document, it's on the ACC website. And by the end of the presentation, you know exactly where that's at. But that's a good cap of overview the different things we have to master to be successful in our jobs. It's another step in the commitment to the chamber profession. It's a dedication to managerial excellence because you're going to grow in the process as you're going to grow every year going forward, but particularly in the CCE process you'll grow. And it's also for leadership within your community and the chamber profession. So why get your CCE? You're going to test your own knowledge and skills. You'll know the status of where you've developed, where you are at this point in time in your career. It'll elevate your personal and professional status, both inside the profession and outside. And I can tell you, I've had a number of people over the years outside the profession ask what the CCE stands for, and they're typically it's something that's kind of striking for them when you explain it. Also, it's membership in a peer group, and it's not cliquish, but it's interesting when you do go to a meeting, whether it be a national or regional meeting, and you see that CCE designation on that business card or on the card that identifies that person in a meeting, and it's interesting how you kind of connect to those individuals. Also, it's a well-recognized mark of excellence, as I pointed out. It increases the credibility with your peers, and it raises the standards of the chamber profession. So, to me, one of the things that I now witness since I've had my CCE is it does increase the standards within the industry, because I believe over time we all get better and more effective, and that can only help the whole. So the next questions we get into is who qualifies. So the criteria here, it's something you need to really take a close look at and follow. It's 6 years of senior level management at a Chamber of Commerce, a minimum of 175 professional development points, and we'll go through that. Susan will walk us through that so you know how those points are totaled and what the application itself looks like. You must be currently employed in the chamber profession as well. And then you must have had a major role in the development of the supporting documents submitted with the application. I know a few years ago we had an individual who went to a new chamber and then filling out the application acknowledged some of the pretty significant things that had happened there, but because that person didn't have that direct involvement at that, their application was not accepted, so they had to go back and redo that. So again, you must have been directly involved in a major role in the documents in your application. Also, this is something that you need to pay particular attention to as well. You must be able to provide the 2 most recent year's financial statements for the chamber, including 1 year of audited statements. And so what we did is we did make a little bit of an exception because we thought it was prudent several years ago. But you'll see the breakdown on the screen is chambers with financial statement of $500,000 or more, and that with chambers of under $500,000. And you'll notice that the tweak that we made, if you're over $500,000, you must conduct an annual audit by a certified financial firm and conduct an audit every other year. And if you're under $500,000, then you must conduct an annual audit review by a certified financial firm and conduct an audit every 3 years. And this is something we're very firm on. I know some of the smaller chambers, this can be a challenge for them. But again, going back to the standards that we feel like we have to meet, that's something that we're pretty strong about. When to apply? When you meet the requirements, which is 175 points. And again, that's taking consideration the 6 years experience. When you reach the point in your career that you're ready for this next step, and again, I kind of alluded to it at the beginning, I can remember there was a number of years that I kept saying, gosh, I know I need to do it. I talked with a colleague of mine who was looking at doing it. We talked about doing it together. And I just kept finding reasons to talk myself out of it. So, there's never, ever this really good time, but I do not think it's an overwhelming process that should hold you back. But I understand if you've just walked into a new job or a new chamber or you have something that's very significant in front of you. but the best time to start is today, and if you are on that ledge a little bit trying to figure out that point, I think it could be a really good step in your own development. When you can focus on preparation, so that kind of goes hand in hand with my last point, and when your chamber has a 3-year cycle of financial review and audit. So as you'll notice here in the red highlight, the deadline for applying is January 9th of 2017. So the CCE certification process, 5 steps, and then I'm going to let Susan start to break these down, but the 5 steps we're going to really start to break down now. 1 is the application, 2 is the essays, plural, 3 is the oral presentation / interview, 4 is the exam, and the 5th step is maintenance. So with that, Susan, I'll let you take over the presentation.
Okay, well, thanks, Bob. So hello again, everyone, and I'm just going to walk you through sort of an outline of the nuts and bolts of the application part of the process. That's step 1. And again, remember that I will be sending you this presentation, so all of the details that we talk about will be in it, so no worries there. So as you can see from this slide, the sort of 3 basic building blocks of the application are the application itself, which you can find on our website, and I'll show you where that is in a moment. 175 professional development points or activity points on there. I'll talk more about that. Supporting documentation, a list of different things that you have to include with the application, and I'll go through a list. And then references, 5 references. So those are the basic pieces of the application. A few other notes are that right now, if you applied right this second after you get off this webinar, you would apply by hard copy, good old hard copy with your supporting documents attached, and you send those to me. If you wait until November or early December, you will be able to apply by uploading them to the ACCE website. So we are moving to a new improved way of submitting the application electronically in November. So how do you earn points? Well, the application lists it all, but here's some highlights. Education, a big one. You can get points ranging from 3 to 30 depending on associate's degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree, and so on. Continuing education at ACCE or otherwise. But for example, you get 5 points for every ACCE convention you attend, and this is career-wide, career-long. 3 points for either state or regional conferences or ACCE conferences that are smaller, such as the sales training or the events training. If you do an online ACCE course, that's also 3 points. A webinar, an ACCE webinar, or another webinar that's chamber related, 1 point each. So you all will be getting 1 point for this webinar today. And institute, 7 points per year for institute. Professional development, professional contribution. So if you've done something to help educate and develop and assist your fellow chamber professionals, you get 5 points. So if you present at a ACCE convention or at a training or at another chamber-related association, if you're the author of an article for chamber executive, if you participate in our ACCE mentor program, that's all worth 5 points. Leadership, this is a big one. So if you are on the board of either a chamber association or a community nonprofit or an organization, you get points ranging from 2 to 20 points, and that depends on if it's chamber related or if you're a board member or an officer and so on. So you can get a lot of points in that category. And then finally, awards. If you have been given a special award or you have other designations such as the CAE or something else, you get points for that as well. So ACCE points are one kind of point that you can get. So let's see how you can get those. Find out what you've earned just through ACCE. So you log into the website, and that's on that upper right-hand corner of the page, of any page of the website. You click on Menu and then My Account. You click on My Membership and then on My ACCE Activity. Oops. And then you see your ACCE Activity Report. So right there, you'll see the points that you've accrued just on ACCE trainings. So your supporting documents, they're listed here. Financial statements for the last 2 years, budget, strategic plan, business plan, and annual report for the 2 most recent years, your position description, a chamber organizational chart, personnel manual, and resume and references. The only, and you can get more details at this at the URL that's listed below. The only other thing I'd add is that if you call something different, so if you do not call your business plan a business plan, you call it something else, or there's some sort of explanation, just provide that with the application. You can send me a separate email. You can, add another page to your application somewhere so that I have sort of a roadmap of where to look, and the other commissioners do too. So make it easy for us to understand what's there and to understand your qualifications. Completed applications, again, they can be submitted electronically beginning next month. If not, you submit 5 copies of them in binders and you send them to me. The address is on the application. An application fee is due, and again, they're due on January 19th, but accepted anytime before then. And that's the application process. So I'm going to turn it over to Linda now to talk a little bit more about the essays.
Well, thank you, Susan. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to check this out. The CCE process is amazing. We can't encourage you enough to follow this process and get your CCE. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the essays. And so the purpose, of course, is to evaluate the candidate's written communication skills. And so the first thing you say that when you read on this, that you need to focus on that it has to be a recent development. So if you're going to talk about your financial procedure, it needs to talk about your recent financial procedures. And when you go into your topic and you want to write your essay, that needs to be about a recent project that's going on. And it's important that it's important to the community when you get your CCE as well as it is for just normal chamber work. So when you say your involvement, you need to make sure that your involvement is what you've done. And as you read through here, you'll see all the topics, and the topics can be approved by the commission. We're going to put a panel together. So it's really important for you to get that topic approved before you take the time to write it all, because we want to make sure that it's the right topic and that you'll be really successful with that. And if you spend all your time doing your essay and then we send it back and you have to do it over, that's just going to frustrate everyone. So anyway, encourage you to run your topic by the commission first before you get started. And if you'll see, look on the bottom, again, you can call Susan or you can call Bob or myself, but the essays are due February 13th. And so make sure that you've got those both turned in, 2 of them, before February 13th.
Hey, Linda, can I jump in here? One thing we also want to emphasize is that this will be about the I and not the we.
Exactly.
So Linda, you might want to touch on that just a little bit.
So when you're talking about putting your essay together and you're talking about a project that you've done, it's real easy for chamber execs to say we, because we're taught to be inclusive and to put the volunteer first and say we did this and we put this all together. But what we want to know is what your involvement in the process was. What did you do? This has got to be I statements on all of them. So you need to take out all those we statements and make them what you've done specifically to make this project go ahead, or what you've done specifically putting in as far as your financial essay as well. So be sure to focus on that so that they know exactly what you have done. That, I'd forgotten that, but that is a really good thing to add. In fact, when I did mine, I did some we statements, and they stopped me and corrected it and said, but we want to know what you've done. So I had to kind of switch things around and focus on just what I had done when I went through it. Okay, so then the second one, then the next step, once you get through your essays, then we'll go to the oral presentation. And if you look at this, the purpose is to see that you have mastery of career benchmarks and that you know the body of knowledge. But basically what you're doing is going to present what you put in that essay. And so I can't encourage you enough to take the time to practice that. Some people don't take the time to give it to someone else. When I went through it, I gave that presentation to at that time I was the vice president of the chamber. I gave it to the president of the chamber and let him critique it so that I knew that it was scrubbed and ready to go to make the presentation to the panel for the oral presentation. So the presentation is on your essay topic, and then after you finish your presentation, most people do a PowerPoint. Then you sit down and the panel then will talk to you about your PowerPoint, but they'll also talk to you a little bit about your knowledge of the community and your professional expertise and about the body of knowledge. So it's just a way for us to just get a little one-on-one with you, and it gives you a chance to just answer some of the questions that maybe your presentation didn't. The oral presentation, the interviews will be scheduled in March. We'll let you know plenty ahead of time where those will be. We're thinking, I don't know, can I say this, Susan, that we're thinking it's going to be in D.C., Georgetown?
Well, Alexandria. So near the ACCE offices, but very, very close to National Airport. So we hope easy in and out, but we're working on that now, and we'll know hopefully very soon.
Yeah, you'll know in plenty of time where those oral presentations are. So then once we do our oral presentations in March, and each of these steps, you pass the application step, and then you're encouraged to go on to the next. Then you pass the oral exam, and once you pass the oral exam, then you go on to the physical exam. And so this is the written exam part of the CCE application. And this is where it comes back to the body of knowledge, and I know Susan later will explain to you what all that incorporates, the body of knowledge. But I can't encourage you enough or tell you the importance enough that you have to read this body of knowledge. Some of the times we've talked to chamber execs that have been execs for years and years and thought, I've been an exec for 10 years, I don't need to read all this stuff. Trust me, you need to read it. So put that on there. Have to read the body of knowledge. It's a very, very must-read deal.
Linda, I'm just going to advance to the next slide because that says where to find it and what's in it. As long as you're... There you go, right on the ACCE website.
There it is. And it looks like a lot, and it is, but it's not. I mean, it's something that a lot of it you will know, but there are tidbits in there that maybe you aren't aware of because maybe of the size of chamber you are or the location of your chamber. So I just highly encourage you to take the time to make sure you go through all of that. Just so you know, the written exam is a multiple choice and short answer. And it is done on a computer, so you know. It's you take it at a local CCE chamber, so we'll look for a CCE that's close to wherever you are, so it's easy for you to get there, and then they will proctor the test for you. Plan on that it takes about 4 hours to complete, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, but if you plan on about 4 hours, at least you know. And just reiterate that you have to pass it to receive the designation. So be sure that you note the dates because this is the dates that you can take it, May 8th through June 9th, and that is the window. So make sure before you apply that you've got that window open, that sometime during that time frame that you can get away to take that test.
Yeah, you'll have a lot of choice in scheduling the test at a time that works for you during the week. So any time, basically any business day from May 8th to June 9th that you and your proctor can sketch out 4 hours for you to take it is good. So you will have flexibility in scheduling.
Okay, so let's go on. Now we'll just say that you've done the body of knowledge, you've passed all your tests, and now you are a CCE. And you know what? The CCE, it's a big deal. You know, one of the taglines that we do is it's 3 little letters, but it has one big distinction. And so now that you are a CCE, it's really important for the maintenance of it that you keep current, and that you, and this is something that you can do as you're going forward. The designation fee is $200 after the exam, and then to maintain the CCE, you just have to accumulate a minimum of 15 points over 5 years. And so I'll go back to where Susan was showing you how to log on. You can log on and check where you are on how many of those units that or how many points you've earned. So you know it's not hard at all to get 15 points. I can assure you of that. And then the maintenance fee is $250 every 5 years, so it's a small amount. But what it does is it's just a continuing commitment to the skills you need to be an effective chamber leader. And one of the things that we've noticed, everyone has noticed, that the world is changing so quickly, and chambers look and they function differently now than they did even 5 years ago. So by attending the conferences and going to the conventions, it just keeps you up to date on trends that are happening not only in the U.S., but we have so many international visitors. It's always so interesting to hear about what they do as a chamber in our international offices around the world. So it only takes 3 ACCE conventions to get your 15 in 5 years. So that makes it very, very easy. And one other thing I always like to point out is I know some people, well, I'm not even sure if I'll be here then, because sometimes they aren't in. By the time they get their CCE, they may be looking at moving somewhere else. But to get your CCE designation, it transfers into the nonprofit world and the organizations out beside the chamber, just because they see that you were certified, which shows that you've done your certification of excellence as a chamber director. So it can translate into other non-chamber work, especially if you're going to work with Chamber of Commerce's, like if you're in an association or want to come back and consult to different chambers. You having the CCE will lend a huge credibility to that. So with this, we need to go back into the resources, and I'm going to turn it back over to Susan to talk to a little bit about that.
Okay, so here are some people and things and places you can get assistance and help in your application process or your investigation about the CCE. So the ACC website. So to get there, you start from any page of the site, and you click on that professional development bar, and you click on CCE, and that is our main page. And as you can see the eligibility requirements, timeline, the intent to apply form, which I'll talk about in a minute, the application itself, presentation slides from this webinar will be up there from our CCE workshop, the body of knowledge and frequently asked questions and so forth. So a lot of good stuff is there. Timeline, I just wanted to point this out. You can click on Timeline and see the schedule for the CCE class of 2017. We have many details already set, including dates and times of conference calls, deadlines, and so on. And as soon as we get more information, we update that timeline promptly. So it's there on our website. And Bob, I think you're going to talk about our CCE Commission.
I am. So another excellent resource for you will be contacting somebody that maybe you can have that very personal conversation with if you have some unique questions or if you have some unique needs for assistance. And so what we've done is we have outlined, listed here for you, CCE commissioners. And what you're going to notice is that they're from all across the United States. They're by different regions. And we do that intentionally so that hopefully it's someone that you can connect with. But trust me, if you know somebody and they're 10 states away and you just want that time because you trust them, you know them, you can have that dialogue with them. So we'll just keep going through these. So just take a look at this list of names. They're outstanding. And another group, another resource, are those individuals who just recently earned their CCE, and they're good because they've just gone through the process. They'll be able to relate a lot better than some of us who, like in my case, it was 17 years ago. Though I've got a pretty good insight, they still have the emotion and the feeling of what it was like, the pressure of here at that time or that time. So again, if you're on the fence and you're not sure, these would be great folks to contact. But you'll notice here, again, it's another diverse set of individuals from across the country, so hopefully most of the regions are connected with. But Pamela, Tim, Cece, Kelly, Leonardo, Edward, Carrie, outstanding individuals, and again, would be folks that would enjoy taking time. If you had different questions, they'd be more than happy to take their time to work with you and talk with you.
Okay, that brings us up to CCE mentors, and I just cannot stress this enough. They can help you in so many different ways. So you need to get one. Pick one from the commission, pick one from the 2016. Maybe you're one of your peers in the state you're in has got their CCE. Grab one of them, because they can sit down. They've been through it. They know what the commission is looking for. They know what it takes to get through that. They can help you review your application to help you get enough points. I'm working with our vice president right now to get hers, and so she's come in a few times and said, Linda, how do I get this point, or how would I do this? So then I'm able to work with her to say, okay, let's get you signed up for this conference so you can get those points that you need. Also to brainstorm on your essay, to come up with different ideas. I know if I see Lynn doing something I think would be a great program or to do her essay on, I say, okay, here's one that you should think about. If you're going to apply this year, you could use this essay. The other thing that I can't stress enough is have them help you with the preparation of the oral presentation, because it's just nice to be able to give it to someone else and have them critique you back, so you'll be just ready to come before the panels. And the other one is they could be your exam proctor, or they can help you find one, because you'll need one relatively close. We try to do that to just save on expenses, to get you a proctor that's really pretty close to where you are. So I just can't encourage you enough to get a mentor. Now I'm going to throw it back to Bob, I think.
All right. So as you can tell, there's a lot of resources available for you, and I think hopefully you've gotten the theme that we're going to go out of our way on our end to help you. And no matter what the need is, I can tell you I have done this long enough to where I have seen people who literally got so worked up that they almost passed out before they came in for a test. They did not, and matter of fact, they were incredible. But that was all part of the learning for them. And what they told me, and what so many others have said, is that we're so supportive, we make it very easy, and we really, when you come in for your interviews, hopefully we'll have had a little bit of time just to interact, where you bumped into us, talked, and you're going to know that we're there to help you every way we can to get your CCE. So we really try to take that edge off of this, and the only edge that gets put on it is that when we try to do our best, and we sometimes kind of, I think, get a little bit more nervous than we should, but nerves are also good for us. So we're going to do everything we can, provide you every resource possible. And again, I want to go back to something I just touched on twice. You know, it's one of those things where if you've got that big priority in front of you that you know it's just going to really challenge you from a time standpoint, I get that. But if you've just thought about it over the years, or maybe it's your first time, jump in. And there is no downside to this at all, because even if you ultimately don't go all the way through with it, you've still learned a lot as you've gone along the way. You know, something else I'll throw out, Linda and Susan, you know, every now and then someone doesn't pass some aspect of this. Again, we try to take the edge off. That's not a negative. That's just all part of as you develop and prep. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does happen, it's not a negative. So that's just something else to kind of keep tucked away. Another resource that I just want to tell you is absolutely incredible, Susan McGuire. She extremely knowledgeable. She's also somebody that you can let your hair down with, and she's been through this process a couple of times that I have to tell you, in all my years, she's one of the best folks I've ever worked with, and she helps simplify and answer your questions in this. as well. So lots of resources and it's a good opportunity for you as you're starting the process. Linda, Susan? And I guess the final thing would be to say, we've shared this before, the application, the intent to apply will be sent out. You can also find it on the ACCE website, that you'll be receiving this information, and as Susan said, this will be placed on the ACCE website, so you can go back and reference different parts of the presentation. Now,
yeah,
Susan.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Bob and Linda, so much. And then the intent to apply form, that is just a way for us to know if you are serious about applying for the CCE for our planning purposes, also so that we make sure to touch base with you, provide you with the assistance you need, answer any questions, and so on. So it really helps us a lot. And as Bob indicated and says on the slide, we will send you this form after the webinar, and it's on our website as well. So I think we are at the question point of the webinar. So if any of you all have questions, you can take a moment and type them into the question box at the lower right-hand corner, and I will read them. Let me see. I think we may have one here. Oh, this is a great question. In the essay section, how recent does the project or initiative have to be? And the answer is within the last 3 years. So if you are if you have just moved to your current chamber and you had a great project in your last one a year ago, that's okay. But anything within the last 3 years is what we're looking for. So great question.
And I know we emphasize this as well, but it needs to be something that you had a major involvement in. And I want to stress that as well. And then again, if you have any questions about your topic or your financial essay or any of that, again, let us work with you if you have any, like I said, if you have any questions.
Yes, absolutely. Another really good question. If you don't get through the first time, does the full process start over and the fees? No, you start where you left off. Within, I think you have 2 years to complete cycle. So if you don't pass the exam, you do not have to do everything up until then. You just sit tight, study some more as you need to, and we'll contact you again and you just take it again. It's not a big deal.
If I can jump in for just a second, Susan, at that point, that's again when you go back to your mentor and visit with them and say, okay, I didn't pass, so what do you think I should do to make sure that I pass the next time? And mentors can be great in that regard.
Yes, absolutely. Next question, can you confirm the January date? It is January 9th, 2017, January 9th. Where can I get a list of CCEs to find a mentor? Usually you can get on our website. That particular function is down right this minute. It will go up very shortly, but give me a call or an email, and I'd be happy to help you. It's as simple as that, and I can send you a list. How similar to obtaining the CCE is the CAE? Now, I am not a CAE. Bob or Linda, do you have any insights on that? Similarity between the CCE and the CAE?
I do not.
I do not, but Susan, didn't Crystal just do that?
Yeah, Crystal Moore is. I mean, I know
yeah.
there is definitely an examination process with the CAE, and if you are interested in more details about that and the skills that are, that you need, or in either or both, I'd be happy to contact you, or Crystal would. I will say that Crystal can contact you. So we can contact this person, but they're both exams, and anyway. Bob.
And it's not uncommon to see next to a CCE to see the CAE. So there must, there's my sense of that is that there's enough of a difference that that individual or those individuals saw value in doing both.
Right. To get points for serving on boards, do you have to currently be on the board? No, no. So all of your points, including the board serving, is career-wide, or career-long. So if you served on boards, 5 years ago for 1 or 2 program years, that's good. You can put those on your application and you get points for that. It's that part, the serving on the board, you have to look at the application. It's a little complicated because you get different numbers of points for your different roles, whether you're an officer or a board or on a task force. So take a look at that, and I'm more than happy to help you sort through that. But no, you do not have to currently be on the board to get the points. And I don't see any other questions. But
great questions.
Yeah, those are excellent questions. So if you have any more questions, feel free to type them in this last minute or so. In the meantime, I'll just remind you that I will send the presentation to you. I am more than happy to talk with you about more details if you get off the webinar and go to the application and look and you don't understand something, or you're wondering where you can get points, or you're looking at it and thinking, there's no way I have enough points. Give me a call and we'll talk it through. I'm happy to do that, and I'm also happy to review a draft application. That's fine as well. I'd rather sort it out beforehand than afterwards. So I'm more than happy to look at a draft, and if you're not there yet, that's fine. You'll know where where you need to be to get the points.
You can also get on that application and start filling it out and save it as you go, and add as you think of different things, so it's not something that you just have to fill out immediately. So I encourage you to get on the website and just begin filling it out.
Okay. There's one more question. Does the 3-year cycle for audit review have to be turned in at the time of the application? And I'll let you, Bob and Linda, you speak to this as well, that audit or review does have to be turned in at the time of the application. If it's a situation where it's due in the next couple weeks, call me, and it's going to be in before your presentation and all that. We may be able to work with that. But
yes, and I think we've had that situation occur. Again, as you're hearing from us, we're going to do everything we can to help you, and I believe that what we did a few years ago was we had a person that was on the audit that was going to have that completed by the time that they came in for their interviews,
yes,
if I remember correctly.
Right.
But again,
yes,
if we can, we want to work with you. But I think
that shouldn't be a problem.
Shouldn't be a problem.
This person says for their 3rd year, their audit is 2016. So give us a call if you have any questions about the cycle and when you'll get the necessary information. But we will work with you if you have an audit or any other document that you're just about to get a new one and you want to supplement or put that in with your application. We'll work with you on that. Pretty much has to be done by the presentations, which is March, but before that should be okay. All right, well, I think that's all. Thank you all for participating in this webinar. Thank you, Bob and Linda.
Thank you.
Bob and Linda are terrific resources, and please, I know they and any other member of the Commission would be happy to talk with you further, not just about the process, but about what the designation means to them and has meant to them in their career. So have a great afternoon, everyone, and I hope to see your intent to apply forms soon. But in any event, hope you give serious consideration to this program when the time is right for you. So,
thank you for your interest.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.